Start clapping right now for my next investor, Jotaka Eaddy.
So if any of you follow me on social media, you will know that I have a saying, hashtag my friends are dope. It's so great to be in this space with so many friends. Thank you, Andrea and Denmark and the entire culture shifting community. To say that I'm honored is indeed an understatement. To my fellow honorees, Joe, Tim, and Anita, it is deeply honoring to receive this award and share this stage with each of you. And I am personally grateful for my friends here who have traveled near and far to celebrate with me. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's quite special for me to receive this award from this community, a community that I deeply respect and hold in such a high regard. As many of you have probably heard me speak, I often share that my journey into Silicon Valley was an unconventional one. Because after spending much of my career at the intersection of movement and politics, when I was first approached about entering Silicon Valley, I was quite apprehensive. Largely because I did not see a reflection of myself in this industry. Despite having led the strategy that won a landmark U.S. Supreme Court case that abolished the juvenile death penalty in 2005, or having lobbied in the United Nations, or having worked to defend and expand voting rights, I did not think that there was a place for me and my skill set in this industry. But soon after I made the transition, and after meeting many of you at many culture-shifting weekends, I soon realized that not only was there a place for me, but there was a need for me and my skill set, and there was a need for each and every one of us that are in this room to be in the tech ecosystem. You see, Chris, I am the black girl that grew up on a dirt road in rural South Carolina. I grew up in a town of 1,491 people. And so as I stand here today to accept this award, I think about those people. The people who made it possible for me to stand here today. Largely hardworking people who are often underestimated by this very ecosystem, who took what little they had to invest and pour into me. And at times when my parents didn't have the extra money, it was those people who would cobble up what they had. They would have bake sales and sell dinners to raise the money to send me to conferences that would ultimately have a profound impact on my career trajectory. Indeed, if I was a startup, the people in my small hometown of Johnsonville, South Carolina, would be my original seed investors. And it is my goal every single day to honor them in every single thing that I do. You know, someone once asked me, Jotaka, what are you in the business of? You worked in politics, you worked in movement, tech. What is it that drives you? Or as Oprah often reminds me, what is your why? And as I think about that, I know that every single day that I wake up, that I am focused on driving out exclusion and marginalization. My North Star has continuously been determining how to take the people in this country, much like those people in Johnsonville, South Carolina, who helped me stand here today. Those people who are often underestimated, overlooked, and pushed to the margins. How can I work every single day to put them back into the center so that they can thrive in abundance? That is what drives me every single day. whether it is through my work to ensure that we have representation, whether it has been at the times when I've advised the NAACP, or worked with companies like Goldman Sachs to help them think about the launch of the $10 billion fund to invest in Black women, or working with amazing companies like Nextdoor and Promise and Apple TV, who are seeking to drive greater inclusion and social impact, or whether it was through my greatest passion of founding Win with Black Women, an international network of Black women leaders who together in 2020 helped put into office the first Black woman vice president of the United States, the first Black woman on the Federal Reserve, and the first Black woman to be named to the United States Supreme Court. That is my why. Today, I just want to share with you, and I will be very brief, the calling that I believe that each and every one of us have in this room. I want to leave you with three very quick things. Number one, we belong in every single space that we occupy. Society will often try to reinforce this idea that we do not belong or that we are not enough. But I am here to tell you and remind you that we are absolutely enough. We have always been enough, and we will continue to be enough. And in many cases, we are more than enough. We belong in these rooms and these spaces, and we must boldly occupy them. Number two, equally as important is our right to be in these spaces is a deep obligation that we all carry in this ecosystem to ensure that we lift as we climb. Because I can guarantee you that every single one of us in this room got here because somebody helped you along the way. Not one of us got in here by ourselves. Let us not be fooled by the awards. Let us not be fooled by the media appearances. We did not get here alone. Because somewhere along your journey, someone said your name in a room that you were not in. Someone worked hard to get to where they were so that they can create a space for you to walk behind them. Someone sacrificed and went through some pain and some tears so that when you walked in the room, it was not as hard as it was for them. And I dare say that many of us are beneficiaries of prayers, dreams, and aspirations of ancestors who knew that we could be here today. We must make sure that we pay it forward and lift as we climb. It is not enough for us to be content with being the only in the room, but we must strive every single day to ensure that we are creating a pathway for others. You see, we are all truly kings and queens. But indeed, to be the kings and queens that we are destined to be, we must be kingdom-minded. Because I beg to ask the question this afternoon, what good is a king or a queen on a throne if the people in the kingdom are suffering? Yes. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not reflect on the tragic events of Buffalo. I'm a child of South Carolina. I knew people in that church at Mother Emanuel. And so to see the events in Buffalo, like many in America, it is deeply hard. But as we learn more about the events of last week, what we know is that the reality is that the self-proclaimed white supremacists who drove 200 miles to hunt down Black people as if we were animals was indoctrinated in the far corners of social media platforms built in this very ecosystem. He utilized technology to further share and expound his hate. And so it's important for us to recognize that we all have a role to play. We all have a deep obligation to hold this industry accountable. Whether or not you are an investor, a founder, an operator, a CEO, we all belong in this ecosystem. It is ours just as much as it belongs to anyone else, and we must do the work of holding it accountable. We must ask the hard questions, challenge our companies and our colleagues. Even when it is uncomfortable, we must speak truth to power. So I employ on each and every one of us in this room, myself included, to find the conviction in standing up and speaking out. We must be a part of the solution and not sit quietly and let our tech companies and this ecosystem either unwillingly, unknowingly turn its head and be a part of the problem and not the great solution that it can be. We all have a role to play. Regardless if it is in your personal life, your business, or if it is in your community, there is something for all of us to do. As I close today, I want to remind you of a great quote by a great woman, Sister Barbara Jordan, who once said that if society today allows wrongs to go unchallenged, the impression is created that those wrongs have the approval of the majority. And I leave you with this, that if you are not doing something, no matter how big or how small, if you are not doing something, then you are doing absolutely nothing. And I hope that we all find the courage and the strength to do something. Peace and power, and thank you.